President Obama is on his way to a Democratic fundraiser after his remarks made just a few minutes ago in Atlanta. And even though it's the president's first trip to that city since he was elected, one of the state's most prominent Democrats is nowhere in sight. Former Governor Roy Barnes, campaigning to win back his old job in a Republican stronghold, will be more than 100 miles away. Political experts are linking his decision to keep his distance with the president's plunging approval ratings, especially in Georgia. Brett Baer anchors a special report and has a little bit more of a look at that for us. Yeah, Brett, whenever the president comes to town, most politicians who are running for office are going to be wanting to be there, right there on his coattails, being seen, having pictures taken, that sort of thing. Why not in Georgia? Why not this morning?
Well, you touched on it right there, John. Georgia is a Republican stronghold, a state that was carried by John McCain in 2008, and the latest polling out of Georgia has President Obama's approval rating there at 37%. So for former Governor Barnes, who's running to get his old job back, that is not the kind of numbers that would propel you to be on the stage with President Obama after that fundraising event. That said, the president is raising a lot of money for Democrats all over the country. However, in some districts, like in Georgia, in the state of Georgia, he is seen by some Democrats as more of a liability than a help. When the New York Times runs a front page story that says, to help Democrats in the fall, Obama may stay away, that is a significant development that perhaps in some places he's not a help.
Yeah, and it is the president is quoted as having said to some Democratic politicians who are running for re-election, they were in the Roosevelt room with him last week, and he said, you might want me to stay away. He's even acknowledging the fact that he might do more harm than good.
Sure. I mean, the numbers are not looking good. There's a new Rasmussen poll out that say that more people identify President Obama now with the bad economy than do people who tie it to former President Bush, 48 to 47%. That's a big development if that poll holds true. Then you look at the economy and the economic numbers with a 2.4% growth rate that is not creating jobs, and the unemployment rate still remains high. Those are all numbers that paint a bad picture in a lot of districts, especially moderate districts. You're seeing more and more Democrats saying they'd like First Lady Michelle Obama to come campaign for them. The White House has not said whether Mrs. Obama is going to do that or not, but the fact that Democrats are saying we'd rather have the First Lady is also an interesting indication.
Well, during the last two election cycles, really, Brett, President Obama, or candidate Obama, was sort of the biggest draw for Democratic candidates, right?
A big rock star, to be able to churn up the base, get out people, invigorate them. He was huge in the last two election cycles, obviously, and that has changed as the dynamics have changed and as some Democrats on Capitol Hill have taken some really tough votes for pieces of legislation that have not been too popular. You're not going to see a lot of Democrats campaigning on health care, for example, heading into 2010. And to answer questions about all of that with the president on the stage, listen, they'll take all the money the White House can dole out by raising money, but they're not necessarily going to take all that press coverage.
Going to be interesting to see what you have on Special Report this evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Brett Baer, the anchor. Brett, thanks.
Thanks, John.
Well, we're going to see